এসেছে সত্য, ওয়াজাহাকাল বাতিল চলে গেছে মিথ্যে। ইন্নাল বাতিলা নিশ্চয় মিথ্যে, কানা যাহুকা চিরদিন মিথ্যে।
And a similar question asked by Abdullah Mohsin from Dubai, UAE. If it is not too personal, can we know how did you select a life partner? As far as the third question posed to me is that if it's not too personal, the brother would like to know that how did I select my life partner? And as many of you may be aware that I met Sheikh Ahmed Deedat in 1987 the first time when I was 22 years old. I was impressed by him, and that's how I got involved in the field of dawah, and my life became more Islamic. Previously I was an average Muslim, praying 5 times a day, fasting and doing what normal Muslims should do, but the dawah came into my life after I met Sheikh Ahmed Deedat. And once I started doing dawah, and by Allah's grace, alhamdulillah, I realized that I was good in debating, I was good in convincing. So I thought, as far as choosing a life partner for me, inshallah, no problem. Any girl I marry, I will be able to convince her maybe in a few weeks or a few months, or no problem, the girl I'll be able to convince. This was in the initial stages when I was a novice, when I didn't have much knowledge. But naturally, later on, as the years passed, I realized that very important, reading the hadith of the Prophet and knowing the other aspects of Islam, that choosing a life partner is very important. And at that time, I thought that the right age for a Muslim boy to get married is 25. That was my idea at that time. Now it may be a little bit earlier. So at that time I thought that 25 years is the best time for a person to get married, when he finishes his graduation and he can marry. And at the age of 25, when I started to look for a girl and realizing, having more knowledge of the deen, reading the hadith and the Quranic verses, my criteria was based on the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad, which is in Bukhari and Muslim, that while choosing a girl you look for 4 things. First is the wealth, second is the lineage, the nobility, third is the beauty, fourth is the deen, and the best is the deen. You should choose a girl for deen. And this hadith was ingrained in my mind, and I decided I want to marry a girl who is as religious as possible, more religious than me. That was my aim, to get a girl who is in the field of dawah and religious. So I told my sister that look out for a girl, and my only criteria, number 1 is deen. Regarding wealth, the poorer she is, better for me, because I don't want to use any of her wealth. Lineage, it doesn't matter. And beauty, she should not be repulsive. That was my requirement. And with this requirement, I told my sister that she should find for me a life partner. And believe me, for 2 years she hunted, and she may have searched many girls, and unfortunately not a single one did she pass. Not a single of the girl who she thought and who she interviewed ever passed even the prelims. Later on, we got information that there is a Muslim girl in a neighboring city, Pune, which is 160 kilometers from Bombay, where I lived. And we came to know that she was the president of a ladies' Islamic dawah organization. And I went along with my sister and my mother, and I went to Pune. I traveled all the way. I drove for a few hours, and I went to Pune, and that's how the first time I met my wife. And that time she wasn't aware, and we met her, and we spoke to her mother. My mother was there, and my sister was there, her mother was there, she was there. And later on, when we went back, then we sent the proposal, and then we had a formal meeting. So first wasn't a formal meeting, just we went and we met through one of our common friends. And when we had the formal meeting, we had for a few hours. And alhamdulillah, she was the first girl I met, or I interviewed, or I interacted to be my would-be wife. And alhamdulillah, the first was the best, and Allah blessed me, mashallah, with a wonderful wife. And alhamdulillah, I consider it to be one of the best gifts that Allah has given me. besides the iman that Allah has given me, the best gift that Allah gave me is my wife. And she was from Pune. And in the first interview itself, it was nearly finalized. Then we had another meeting. My basic criteria was that she should be religious and she should be a Dai. These were the two criteria, religious and Dai. And I could not find a girl better than her at that time. Already more than 27 years has passed for our marriage. At that time, I could not find anyone better in my knowledge. And Alhamdulillah, this was the only criteria. The remaining was not at all important. But Alhamdulillah, even though I wasn't looking for beauty, MashaAllah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave me a beautiful wife. And as I said, the beauty is in your mind. And Alhamdulillah. And many people used to ask me that now you're giving so many hours for dawah, maybe, about 9-10 hours for dawah. Once you get married, you'll have to give time to your wife. How will you be able to manage both? So one of the reasons that I married a girl who is a daya, so that it's a Venn diagram. Most of our time would overlap. So when I gave approximately 5 hours to her in a day, maybe 3 hours was discussing dawah. And then we started an Islamic organization, Ladies Wing, in my organization, Islamic Research Foundation. The moment we got married, first thing we did was started a Ladies Wing, and she was the president of the Ladies Wing of Islamic Research Foundation. So my main criteria was only deen and dawah. But naturally in the interview, the question asked was based on about what is the concept of purpose of life and other things. So basically these two are the criteria. Allah blessed me, and the best blessing for a Dai is to have a righteous and supporting life partner. For a Dai, the wife can make the life of a Dai hell. I know many Dais who are very good Dais, but after marriage, their dawah has been ruined because of the spouse. Allah has blessed me, mashallah, and I consider my wife to be the best wife in the world. That's what I consider, alhamdulillah. And I thank Allah for giving me a spouse who was righteous. And because of her, after marriage, my dawah increased multiple times and kept on increasing more and more to the level. Now, alhamdulillah, Allah blessed me. And therefore, choosing a life partner is very important. And as the Prophet said, look for a life partner who's religious, look for deen in her. The other criteria are not at all important. Most important is religious and virtuous. Hope this answers the question.